The cinematic sequence. That is the building block for any video. And if you have enough building blocks, you can build a house. And if you have a lot of sequences, well, you got yourself a feature film. And so it is all about that sequence when it comes to making videos, which is why in this lesson, you're gonna see me and my partner creating a cinematic sequence video from scratch. You're gonna see us planning our shots in this video, and then in the next video, you're gonna come on the shoot with us and see how we execute our plan. And then finally, you'll see us editing everything together after that, and you can actually download all of our footage and all of our project files if you wanna follow along as we edit. Oh, and we are not the only ones who are going to be taking on this challenge. You are also going to be creating your own cinematic sequence as an assignment for this course. You can also use it for your brand if you want, but don't worry, you're not going to be doing it alone. We're going to be doing it together phase by phase, and there are lots of resources, and there's also peer feedback and office hours with me to help you along the way. And if you're sitting there like Mary, I bet y'all have a lot more fancy gear than I do. We're gonna be using this cheap $20 tripod and this entry-level camera, the Panasonic Lumix G7, to make our video. This baby costs less than 500 bucks and it comes with a lens. Now, this kit lens is not the best lens, but we gonna stick with it anyways because we wanna prove to you that you don't need to be swimming in money or have a whole bunch of pricey gear to make a dope video that looks pricey. All right, now that you know that we're tackling the cinematic sequence challenge, again, this lesson is all about showing you how we're gonna prepare for our shoot. So we're coming up with goals for our video. You're gonna see Miles and me as we come up with specific shots and a shot list. But before we jump into that, I just have to issue a quick but very heartfelt apology for the quality of the sound in this video, which I do not feel great about, especially because this is a course all about filmmaking, and so I have this expectation that the sound should always be perfect, but I'm not perfect and we make mistakes. And basically what had happened was that when we tested the sound, I had my face turned toward the microphone, and so it sounded real nice at that point. But for some reason, I forgot to test the audio when I was facing toward the front, and at that point my mouth was farther away from the mic, which means the sound in this video, there's much more echo than I would like, and I've had nightmares about it. I definitely contemplated reshooting this lesson a million times as I was editing, but the reason I didn't is because we really wanted to show you our natural conversation as we came up with the shot list. You know, some of the ideas we came up with, we kind of had to troubleshoot. We couldn't really refilm that or it wouldn't be natural, but there are captions if you have trouble understanding anything we're saying, and I promise the audio is much better throughout the rest of the course. All right, so now let's jump into the lesson, and we're gonna start by reviewing the specs of this cinematic sequence challenge that we're tackling and that you're gonna tackle later. All right, y'all, so our main goal for this challenge is to create a video that's 30 to 60 seconds long with a cinematic sequence that showcases a single process. And you're gonna get to pick whatever process you want. Now in our case, we chose to film the process of us having a picnic because it gave us an excuse to eat. Other than that, we also wanna make a video that puts all of those cinematography tips from the last lesson to good use. And so let's take a look at the other specs that our video is gonna have to meet. It's gonna need a smooth flow, so a clear beginning, middle, and end. It's gonna need a minimum of 15 shots. We're also gonna need a variety of compositions and a dominant focus in every shot. We're gonna make sure that our viewers always know what they're supposed to be looking at. This video needs to have depth in most of the shots. So we're gonna want blurry backgrounds and foregrounds so that our subject stands out. We're also gonna wanna have subject movement in most of our shots. The video is also gonna need at least one use of camera movement, at least one use of matched action. And for the audio, we're gonna use natural sound, or we might lay some music underneath it, but we're not gonna have any spoken narration. You know, this is not an audio challenge. This is really about the visuals and about the cinematography, and that's what we're gonna focus on. All right, so now that we know the deets of our creative brief and we know what our mission is, we gotta start planning. So before we start getting into planning specific shots, we're gonna start with pen and paper. We're gonna be using this brainstorming template, which you're gonna be able to download later, just to get down the goals for the beginning, middle, and end of our sequence so we can really think intentionally about the flow. At the beginning of any video, I really want to set the scene. So I want to let viewers know where they are and what's about to happen. And so for this sequence, I want to establish that we're in a park and that a picnic is about to go down.
So I think we just kind of lay down the blanket.
Like we're just setting up.
Yeah, just put it on the ground.
Okay.
And then throw our picnic basket on there and just unload it.
Word, got it, cool. Okay, that looks good for the beginning, and then for the middle, I feel like the picnic needs to go down. Like we need to be setting up the food.
Eating some food.
Eating the food, having a good time, enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
And then for the end, I just feel like we got to wrap things up. We got to establish that the picnic's over.
We could just show, you know, our empty plates, maybe folding the blanket and walking out of the park.
Yeah. I wonder if we could like end it on kind of a happier note. You know, it's a happy picnic. So like maybe in the middle when, you know, we're showing us having fun, we could take a selfie and then we could end the video with like a screenshot of the selfie on Instagram,
Oh, yeah.
like an Instagram post where it says like best day ever or some caption
I
like
like
that. I think that looks really good. I think we got a nice flow here. We know what the goals are for the beginning, middle, and end of our video. And now we're gonna come up with specific shots that are gonna get those goals across, and they're also gonna meet the specs of our challenge.